From SmartWorks Viva version 550 onwards, dynDNS, or Dynamic Domain Name System, can be used within SmartWorks Viva. This new feature allows a base receiver to be accessed via a host name instead of an IP address. The feature is useful for all single base setups where no static IP address is available on the SIM card. In this video, I'm going to explain the benefit of this feature, who can use it, and how to configure and use dynDNS in SmartWorks Viva. This feature is beneficial if you use the following setup for GNSS real-time measurements. You have set up a base receiver. You are transmitting correction data to your Rover via an internet connection, not using a dial-up or radio connection. You are using or want to use a SIM card on the base that uses a dynamic IP address. Up to version 550, there have been two possible setups. Using a SIM card with a dynamic IP address on the base which changes regularly. This would mean that the user would constantly have to change the IP address on the Rover. Or use a SIM card with a static IP address on the base, which can be quite expensive. With the introduction of dynDNS in version 550, it is possible to use regular SIM cards with dynamic IP addresses and not be affected by IP address changes. These get handled by the dynDNS service. Now I'm going to show the single configuration steps needed to use dynDNS services. Step 1 is the internet configuration on the base, where dynDNS gets activated. Step 2 is how to configure sending correction data from the base. Step 3 is about the internet connection on the Rover. And the last step 4 is to adapt the Rover RTK settings. The first step is to connect the CS field controller with a GNSS antenna, which is already done in my case and does not need any changes. Now configure the internet connection on the base. From the base menu, go to Instrument, Base Connections, All Other Connections. Select GS Internet Connection and press Edit. Tick the checkbox Use Internet Connection on GS. Change to the Advanced page and tick the checkbox Use dynDNS. SmartWorks Viva supports 4 different DNS: dynDNS.com, easydns.com, noip.com, and 2dns.com. On the sample of the provider dynDNS.com, it is shown how to obtain an account and dynDNS hostname. Access the web address account.dyn.com. First create an account entering a username, password, and email address. Press Create an account. A confirmation code is sent to your email address, which needs to be re-entered in the account wizard. You can choose between different packages to purchase, and there is also a trial version available. Next, choose and enter a host name. This host name has to be entered later in SmartWorks Viva and will replace the IP address. In this case, use mydynDNS host.dynDNS.home.com. An IP address does not need to be entered at this stage. When the base connects to the dynDNS service, the current base IP address is provided to the dynDNS service. Finish the registration by pressing Add to Cart. Now, enter the host name mydynDNS host.dynDNS.home.com, the username and password from your dynDNS account into SmartWorks Viva. Confirm with OK. Returning to the base connection settings panel, press Control. The next step is to enter the APN, or the access point name. The APN, as well as the port, username and password, will be provided by your mobile network service provider. Make sure that the SIM card used offers open ports for TCP/IP connections, along with an internet connection. First, enter the APN. In this example, I have an APN from my network provider, Swisscom, providing the APN corporate.swisscom.ch. Confirm with OK. Press Edit. Tick the checkbox Use User ID and Password and enter this information. The port will be entered in the next step, Step 2. Now configure the base to send out RTK corrections. To do so, go to the main menu and select Instruments, Base Connections, All Other Connections, and select Base RTK1. Press Edit and tick the checkbox Transmit RTK Base Info. Make sure to configure the correct connection type and RTK data format. Then press OK. In the base settings page, press Control. Make sure user type Server is selected. Then enter one of the port numbers provided to you in the APN profile from your network provider. In this example, we use port 5800, which we selected from our APN list. The line Allow Simultaneous Connections is set to 1 by default. Note that since version 550, up to 10 users can simultaneously be connected and receive correction data from this port. Press OK. To check the status of your dynDNS setup on the base, go to Instrument, Base Status, Connection Status, GS Internet, Interface. The dynDNS status should be on. The current base IP address with the time and date of the last update is also shown. In the third step, we will configure the internet connection on the Rover. From the Rover main menu, go to Instrument, Connections, All Other Connections. Select GS Internet Connection, press Edit, and tick the checkbox Use Internet Connection on GS. Confirm with OK. Then press Control and enter the APN. Note: the APN can be different from what was configured on the base, as a different SIM card is being used. Now we will configure to receive correction data on the Rover. From the Rover main menu, go to Instrument, Connections, All Other Connections. Select RTK Rover, press Edit, and tick the checkbox Receive RTK Data. Confirm with OK, then press Control. The server to be used needs to be configured. Create a new server by pressing New. Give the server a name and enter the host name as configured on the base. The port to be entered is the same as on the base, in this case 5800. Confirm the settings with OK. In order to connect to the server, the RTK data stream has to be started. Go to GPS Favorites and select 7, Start RTK Stream. The Rover will connect to the base and corrections will now be received. If you wish to check the status, go to Leica GPS Favorites, RTK Data Link Status, Device Page, which displays the port in use and the host name the rover is connected to. Please also watch further SmartWorks Viva version 550 video tutorials. Thank you for watching and see you next time.